How about that? All right. So we're here after UFC San Antonio this past weekend. I'm wearing my Yankees hat with a purple shirt just because I found out today Anthony Volpe is on the opening day roster. So salute to the Yankees for actually making the right decision. But half the pitching staff's injured, so that's one thing. But
so it cancels out. Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. But we're an MMA show, so we're going to talk about UFC San Antonio and other stuff from the weekend. And I think we have to start with the main event. Now, I think this conversation could go in many different ways because we could talk about Corey Sandhagen and how awesome he looked in this one. Kind of like a puzzling performance from Cheeto, but even more puzzling is that one judge, and I wrote his name because I had to shout him out. Joel Ojeda, 48-47 Cheeto Vera, and obviously the other judges gave it to Corey Sandhagen 50-45 and 49-46. But Joel, man, I don't know what he's doing down there in Texas, what kind of like drugs or substances he might be using, but it must be pretty damn good if he thought that Cheeto won that fight. And I love Cheeto, but I don't even know if you could give him one round in that one, let alone two. What do you think about it?
Dude, your guess is absolutely as good as mine because you literally just said, how do you give him even one round, but you have him winning the entire fight? I mean, like, it's so hard. It's always so hard to wrap your head around, and you feel like you've seen it all already. You feel like you've seen it all already, and then this happens, and you just hit again with just another like. It just there's no excusing it, and there's no explaining it. If you want to pull up the stats right now,
dude, way out of you.
Just
because I'm reading it and I'm like perplexed.
Rip, man.
So I'm just gonna start with significant strikes, and I want to start by saying that all but round 5, Corey outlanded him by over 10. So round 1, Corey outlanded Cheeto 32-5 with 2.5 minutes of control time. So obviously a lot of that with those elbows on the ground, which Corey did a phenomenal job of landing. Round 2, 2 minutes and 50 seconds of control time. Another round similar to round 1. 18-6 in significant strikes. And then if you're not saying significant, just total, 55-9 for Corey. Round 3 is the round that I think is consensus, the closest. Corey outlanded him 32-20 in both totals. Round 4, 24-13 Corey, and then round 5 was 22-14 Corey in the significant strikes department. And in round 5, he also had 1 minute and 37 seconds of control time. But the most crazy part, and we can get into how good Corey did in a second, but I feel like this just has to be the first conversation because of how egregious that one scorecard was. But in total, right, significant strikes, Corey Sandhagen not only had 9% more, he was 9% more accurate than Cheeto Vera, but then he also outlanded him at significant strikes 128-58 and total strikes 187-73, while also having 7 minutes and 8 seconds of control time compared to Cheeto Vera's 9 seconds. So, let me see what round. Let's just see what rounds that Ojeda gave Cheeto, because I'm curious. 3, 4, and 5. That's unbelievable. Dude. I mean, at least he gave Corey the first 2 rounds because that was obvious. But the other ones kind of were too, I think. Cheeto was definitely landing more as that fight went on, but not enough to win. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but like this, if there was ever a time where needing to finish your opponent was, ever as more important, it'd be like right now with what we're seeing from these judging commissions, because I mean, I'm really trying, I think we do all right on this show with empathizing and stuff with the fighters and all that. And, just like you really putting yourself into their shoes for a second, and they're just like stepping away from just being like a fan who just watches on, the television screen. And then you try to do it with the ref, and it comes down to like a moral thing, like just a straight, like just human thing. It's like, because we're gonna get into it. I won't even like mention it right now, but
Sure.
just from this fight alone, it's just,
I mean, we could, because here, let me like say this because I know we were talking about this before the pod, and I know you definitely agree with me going into this. So, like, this event was obviously in Texas, and like the Texas Commission, I don't know exactly how they are with like rules and stuff, but they're judging and like some of the refereeing in particular, maybe in those regional promotions too, like it's just not up to snuff. Like this isn't the first time we've had like a commission conversation about Texas, whether it be like the events that they have had in Austin or the pay-per-views that we remember, like, you know, Jones versus Reyes was in Texas. Yep. And that was like one of the more notorious scorecards of recent memory. And, you know, guess what state that was in? And you sent a video that was so crazy. I don't know if I should put like a screenshot or the video in like the video, or just like kind of put it in the description, like a link. I might do that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think that people need to see like we're not exaggerating here.
Yeah, so there was this one Fury event.
The
Fury
commentators
FC.
Themselves are screaming like.
I mean, anybody with a brain.
Yeah.
Let's see what town it was in at least.
Oh my god! Imagine being like the dude who's getting choked out's family.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, imagine being the dude who's getting choked out. Well, let me add some context because I didn't say anything yet.
Yeah.
So like, it was Fury FC 76, also in San Antonio, and main event was Edgar Chairez versus Gianni Vasquez, and basically what happened was Edgar put Gianni to sleep with a triangle choke, all normal. The ref doesn't see that the guy's clearly unconscious, and he's just standing there like watching him, and like the commentators, like you said, they're screaming, and this guy, like, I don't even want to put it on his opponent because it's like the ref's fault. But I mean, dude, the opponent, he knows he's out, and he's like at some point you got to be a human being. I feel like and just be like, hey, dude, like, come on, you're not seeing this. But then eventually he's, you know, let go of the choke and just put him in an armbar when he's already asleep. When he put him in the armbar, his legs are just like literally just out on the canvas, and he's just putting him in it, and the ref's still not, like, he's kind of like buttoning in. But then I just. The pictures that are up here, like the screenshots on the website that I looked it up on, maybe I'll put that in if I can, because it's just outrageous. Like, that ref should never be around combat sports again in any capacity. And I'm trying to see if there's anything. Imagine waking up in an armbar.
That guy needs the Mario Mazzagatti treatment.
Dude, this man really just like pissed you off so much that you just combined two of the worst. Mario Yamasaki and Steve
Yamasaki.
But honestly, you're right. Like, you're right. And I'm laughing, but it's just because, like, this is crazy. So the referee's his real name is not Mario Yamasaki, but his name is Frank Colazzo. And Fury FC released a statement, and they chastise him for failing to properly protect the fighter. So this is the quote, okay? It is the referee's job to protect the fighter when the fighter cannot protect him or herself. In last night's main event, the referee failed to do this. While the job of a referee is one of the hardest to do in this sport, the need for proper and continued training would help alleviate things like this incident. Yeah. We do not hire. This is true, because like Fury looks terrible for this, and it's not even their fault. And like, because this is what it says, we do not hire, train, or select refs for our shows, but we would be more than willing to lead a revamp and overhaul of this reffing and judging selection and training process. All good. Like, I agree on that one. On the bottom part of the article in bold, it says, "What are your thoughts on this stoppage?" Well, it was a little early. No,
test is tad early.
No, yeah, this. You know, like I said, I'm gonna put the picture in anyway, and this dude it was pretty scary. Like, we're making jokes about it.
Yeah, no,
but like,
seriously, man,
this was truly just one of the worst stoppages, if not
and
the
then
worst
even for
stoppage
Cheeto Vera too, like, man, I don't, we're not trying to, by no means we mean any disrespect to Cheeto or anything, but it's just,
going back
it's just that's it, man. You just gotta, like, just even as, a fan like us who's gonna come on the show and just talk about it, like, dude, you gotta be partial, you gotta be fair, you gotta be objective. Like, come on. I mean, it's just, maybe we'll just never know. We will never know, but we'll always just be left just sitting here like, what goes through this guy's head.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what you do about it, because it's not like the UFC can do anything. It's a commission problem, and Texas, like we just said, has had quite quite the interesting run lately, and there were a few fights on this card that were questionable. I know people were talking about the Duraev and Nojukwani fight. Another one and we're kind of skipping a few fights to get to this one, but I kind of want to talk about it because I'm curious to see what you thought. Because this is another type of damage versus control fight. What did you think of the Barber versus Lee decision? Did you like that one, or was it because I don't know? I thought that one was kind of questionable too, to be honest. I could see it for Barber.
Yeah, I mean that one was clearly way closer, but yeah, it does raise question, and it's sometimes I think to myself, like, because with the NBA they have it's called, I forget what L2M stands for, but the ref commission or whatever, they pretty much, if there's a controversial call or whatever, they'll come out and explain it. Oh, last 2-minute report is what it's called.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it's you think with the UFC, it's only one ref in there, but with the judge, from a judging standpoint, it's I want if there's any way to just pick some of these guys as just brain for a second, I would love to get to be able to talk to a judge and not overstep a boundary trying to get, because I reckon obviously their job, they have to be pretty quiet about a few things, but I don't know, I just have a lot of questions. It's just fascinating to me, honestly.
I would love to have,
and I know it's a mixed martial arts. Everyone views, everyone has a different style. Everyone, views it differently. I get it, and that's the beauty of it. That's part of why I love it so much. But I mean, sometimes sometimes these guys just back themselves into a corner and feel and their asses are already protected anyways, and so there's not all that much to worry about at the end of the day. And
well, what do you think of this? And I was about to raise this question. If, let's say, somebody did an anonymous survey with 100 to 300 judges, okay, and they gave them a list of questions on what their interpretations of the rules are that they're judging by. Yeah. How different do you think those would all look? Because I think they'd look pretty fucking different.
Dude, yeah, it'd be, man, I would not want to be the person to sort through all of those and then just
have all the hopelessness.
Yeah. And try to freaking put yourself through the torture of coming to a consensus of okay, this is what seems to be, the most just straight up partial way to go about it. So, but that'll never happen, and then there will never be a set, way to call a fight. So it's tough. Just gonna be, I don't know, man. I just I don't really see how, well, I guess sooner rather than later they're gonna be fucking moving to AI. So
who knows? That might even be better, dude. That might be better.
They'll start having robots judge fights.
Like I said, if you could put the rules in that, maybe we'd actually have some better results. But let's actually get into the main event a little bit, because we're talking about the judging. That's a whole nother separate conversation. But Corey Sandhagen looked incredible in this fight, just all around. I mean, his kicks were outstanding, as always. But this time I think he was doing a good job at using them to keep range. And, the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about was his fight IQ, because I feel that's something that we've witnessed improve in the past couple years, because he's had a few questionable moments, against Sterling, obviously getting his back taken like that, against Jan and TJ Dillashaw, just the spinning kicks to get your back taken or taken down. Those really did him in those fights, and it seems since those losses especially, he's really just improved at keeping his range, using his feints to set up just big shots that aren't crazy spinning ones that are going to get you taken down. And I feel against a guy like Chito Vera, he just looked incredible. Just to keep him guessing like that, to take him down, beat him up on the ground.
That's what you gotta do especially for a guy like Chito Vera. We've talked about it too with Chito Vera, how how much he's able to adjust fight to fight, to his opponent, cater to what, his opponent likes to do and, how he can attack him and beat him that way. But you saw it here, of course, saying, yeah, this is as best as I've ever seen Corey Sandhagen, and that's saying something. So, I'm not that it really, because I reckon he's relatively young, but I kind of now I want to think about like a championship window for Corey Hagen because I just feel like this guy, especially after this performance, like you definitely you have to be reassured that the sky's the limit for him, even in this absolute stacked bantamweight division, because he's right up there.
Well, he's in the midst of his physical prime. He's 30 years old, so just pretty much on the border. 30 is a good age to be in MMA because you're basically just as fit as you're going to be. I like the Merab call out. I don't know if that fight actually happens because I don't know if the UFC really wants to see Corey go against a guy who's just going to smother him. I mean, I shouldn't say that because Corey definitely could have some separation, but like right now with Merab and how he's been looking, I find it hard to believe that anyone could really stop the pace. Yeah. Not on the feet, at least. Like I don't know. I think Corey could definitely land some shots, but I think that pace against anybody is just a tall task. But in this fight, against Vera, even off his back, Vera was scrambling for submissions, and we were kind of alluding to this earlier, but even in the 5th round, Cheeto at the very end, just going for it. I respect that. I hate when fighters just kind of are reserved to the loss, and they're like, all right, I'm just not gonna take that much damage.
He ate a hook too with that too. He could have. Of course, Sandhagen could have finished it right then and there. He ate a hook right on the button. Yeah. During that.
I mean, that's what happens when you're going for broke. Exactly. You lost. You're losing. Well, I shouldn't say you lost because at that point it was still technically up for debate, at least to that one judge. But anyway, so. I just respect that.
They're all caution to the win right there.
Yeah, I respect when anybody does that.
Yeah, well-deserved win for Corey Sandhagen. Huge win.
For sure. I don't know if, like I said, I don't think he gets him a title shot, but like you were mentioning, I think his title window, it's there. It's in sight. I mean, I think he's probably one fight away, whether it be Merab, Sugar Sean, or God knows who else in that stacked bantamweight division, maybe even a Davison Figueiredo. Who knows? But I think Corey is one fight away no matter who he goes against. And he looked great in this fight. So we'll move on to the next one. Holly Holm. So she had a nice unanimous decision win against Yana Santos. And I think and like Corey, another striker doing pretty damn good on the ground. Because Holly just smothered her in the wrestling. I thought she was going to submit her for a second in that fight, which would have been... I can only imagine what the odds of that were before. I'd imagine Holly by decision was probably minus 9,000. But I don't know. I thought that this fight was going to be a lot closer for some reason. I don't know. I had faith in Yana's grappling, but I guess that was misguided because Holly just looked great everywhere. I don't know if the return was the layoff was needed. But she looked, honestly, better than ever, I think, in this fight. She showed a lot of different parts of her game, and at 41 years old, it looks like she's honestly improving. But what do you think at this advanced age, I guess, now that she signed a 6-fight contract, do you think that she should still be talked about in the championship picture, I guess? Do you think she still can get that title from anybody, whether it be Nunes or whoever?
I mean, yeah. If she can maintain the form that she had in this fight, in terms of, pace and just strength, I mean, you saw, how, she was just, ragdolling Santos against the cage in those clinch situations. And then, yeah, kind of just, like you were saying, just smothered her. So I think that's going to go a long way in this division, especially for somebody that, we're wondering if she can get back to that title scene. But yeah, Father Time is undefeated, especially in this game, and the 6-fight deal is a pretty lengthy deal. So, I think there's still a lot of reason to be, keeping tabs and interested on Holly Holm, because I mean she can give anybody a good fight in this division, and you saw it on Saturday, I think, in a pretty unorthodox way. We're seeing the way we're not accustomed to seeing from Holly Holm. So good for her.
Yeah, I think she's been working on a lot of stuff, and like I said, she looks a lot better. But we'll see how that goes against the real top of the heap at 135, because that'll prove everything. So the next fight that I want to talk about is Nate the Train Landwehr, because this dude, every time he fights, is just like it's just bonkers. And I remember I first kind of like heard of him when he fought Darren Elkins and he lost that fight, but it was just a nutty
Yeah, I
back and forth.
hadn't. I saw the hype surrounding him before this fight, but I wasn't really all that. I wasn't, I guess, all that caught up to speed with it
I
yet.
mean, honestly, I'm I could be wrong here.
Like I knew about his like just ferocious, just like guns blazing style, and that's why he's got the nickname he's tabbed, and then all this he's got a whole he's got a lot of hype surrounding him now too, and for good reason. But
Yeah, he's a character.
I
That's for
think
sure.
I think I needed to just wait for especially a performance like this to be sold, and yeah, I'll say so. Even though even this fight, there's still there's still areas to critique and get better on, obviously, but um yeah, who says that he can't, like, because he absolutely can. So
Yeah, I think it's more of a fight IQ thing because
yeah,
he's
kind of
got the
like
skill.
yeah, which is funny. You have a guy like Corey Sandhagen main eventing this card, who I kind of like I kind of saw in Nate to train for a little bit too. In which case, like like this is a guy who can take it, like, and he's gonna give it too. So I mean, and he's gonna give it in a way that you probably will least expect. So you gotta stay on it's a guy that's gonna keep you on your toes, but you don't want to take that damage either. So if he cleans up that area and just refines that, kind of like we saw Corey Sandhagen in this main event in terms of that fight IQ and whatnot, and picking your spots. Then yeah,
He's a tough fight for anybody. And by the way, I was wrong. He beat Darren Elkins. I don't know why I thought that Elkins won that fight. But he's honestly putting together a little bit of a win streak. Ludovic Klein, David Onama, and now Austin Lingo. So not bad. I mean, their combined records, just those three guys, is what is that? 27 plus 9, 36 and
I
5.
mean this fight looked to be like a dog fight to start off, and
That's
then
how all Nate's fights are, though.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
why I'm
pretty
saying
much.
I think that's good. Like
That's what I
against
wanted to. Yeah, that's what I wanted to like kind of sum up there when I was giving my 2 cents on him in this fight. But I mean, shoot, that was a really nice recovery by him. Like, there's no taking that away from him. He got it done
for
in
sure.
convincing fashion. So
He's
yeah,
got power in his
yeah, I'm
strikes.
sold.
I'm a big fan
I'm
of him.
sold on Nate the Train.
I would love to see him rise through the ranks. The only time will tell, though, to see if that actually happens.
Yeah.
But one other fight that I kind of mentioned before was the Macy Barber Angela Lee fight. We don't really have to go over what we thought of the scorecards again because we kind of covered that. But I more just want to talk about Macy Barber and like her, I guess, title aspirations. At one point, this is someone who was saying that she wanted to be the youngest champion in the UFC, break John Jones's record. She's had a couple losses, some injury setbacks, which is obviously unfortunate. But sometimes like her comments kind of just they're very interesting. So she's had a few wins that I could think of, including this one, that are just like I'm not questioning that she should have won them. I'm just saying that they were close enough that you could argue the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And another one that popped into my mind that I could vividly remember thinking that she had lost was the Miranda Maverick fight. And this fight was another one that I kind of thought that Andrea Lee had done enough, but then obviously she didn't. And then Macy came out after the fight and she said that her only true loss was against Alexa Grasso and she would like that fight back. And to her credit, she said, I don't know if it's next. Doesn't know if it's next. I think it's not. But she says it's either, she thinks she's one fight away from it. And I respect anybody who has like confidence, and I'm not saying that Macy can't rise to the top, but I think to kind of win a fight in this fashion against someone who's in a similar spot in the division, like hovering around the 10 spot, not really in the upper echelon yet, I just think that like calling for a rematch against the current champion after a win like that against, I think Andrew Lee was ranked number 9, a little interesting. A little bit interesting. I just think that I don't know if she's done a, and it might just be in the way that she talks, because I don't want to disrespect her that much, because I do like Macy Barber. I think she's fun to watch. But I don't know if she's saying her only true loss is to Grasso, and I get that her other loss was Roxanne Modafferi, where she got injured. But to say that because I'm pretty sure, if I remember that fight correctly, it looked like Modafferi was kind of controlling her on the ground before the ACL thing had happened, if I remember correctly. I should have honestly rewatched it before this, but I do remember that Roxanne was like winning that fight early. And, now she's had a couple, this is Macy I'm talking about now, she's had a couple like close decisions like this, and it seems like she still thinks that she's like running through chicks, that sounds weird, but you know what I mean. She because in the beginning she was finishing, like knocking people out. I remember she had finished. It was Jillian Robertson. That was one fight that I remember from Macy that had blown me away, because I think Jillian is underrated. And let's see like the other things on Macy's resume just for the hell of it. JJ Aldrich is a good fighter. Obviously has the win over Miranda Maverick. Montana De La Rosa is a good fighter. Jessica I. So she has good wins, but I don't know if an Alexa Grasso fight is right around the corner, even if Grasso loses to Valentina in like an immediate rematch. But I don't know. Do you have any ideas for what you would think maybe could come next for Macy Barber? I could kind of pull up the rankings if you want me to give some names, and maybe you'll tell me what you think.
I mean, honestly, like, no, not really. I'm kind of just like, it's more trying to, like, I get it. I think my thing is it more you want to just avenge the Alexa Grasso loss, because it's not even about the title. Like, she's just ranked above you, and you've already fought her, and now you're feeling as confident as you've ever been, and you want that fight back. Or like
she was like, I won the third round. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
Alexa won the fight, so I mean.
Or
we'll see if
like you just brought up, in the case that Valentina beats Alexa Grasso and then gets the title back, is Macy Barber still gonna want that Alexa Grasso fight?
It's a tough call. It's definitely an interesting talking point. I think there's really no way of knowing that, and I don't know exactly what Macy has in her mind. I would imagine, knowing like the things that she said in the past, that the championship is probably still at the top of her list, and the Grasso thing is maybe just like a personal thing that she wants to get back before her career is over.
Because maybe, you gotta think about like, someone like her viewing that fight. She's probably, kind of like, I would think the majority of fans, and then me and you too, like, okay, Valentina, she, obviously a silly mistake. She paid for it, and then that's pretty much how that went. So,
well, to be fair though, in that fight, Grasso was winning.
Yeah.
He won the first round, and like she was doing good in the second and the third. So like, I think the mistake is what led to the finish, but I think that Grasso, she showed up in that fight. I mean, I just, there's no two ways about it. Like, people want to make like an excuse for Valentina. I'm not saying you, but I mean like just in general. The mouth breathers in the comments and Twitter. The MMA world really does have an interesting set of fans, that's for sure, on social media.
We can just call them the Power Slap fans.
That's actually a good name for it. But did you see Steve Will Do It, by the way, had like a Power Slap custom car?
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, well, that really, I'm not even going to bother showing you that. It's not worth talking about for more than 5 seconds. But I'd say we move on to a couple more things that happened on this card. So the prelims, there was one thing that happened that I think just deserves so much praise, and that was the comeback of the century that CJ Vergara had over Daniel Lacerda. And that first round, you could argue, is a 10-7. I think it was a 10-8, though, just by like the actual criteria. But the bottom line is Vergara was very, very lucky to get out of that round in round one, when I think Lacerda dropped him like 3 times and was just battering him on the feet. And doing good on the ground against him too, honestly. And then it just seemed, and Bisping was good on him, honestly, because he was talking about this from literally the first 20 seconds on, that Daniel Lacerda has a cardio issue and he tends to do good in the beginning of the fights and then fade out. So I think this fight was a perfect example of that because CJ Vergara barely got out of the first round, but it seemed like Daniel was just kind of done after that. And I mean, props to CJ for getting the dub in his hometown. But what do you think? That might have been one of the best comebacks of the past 5 years.
Yeah, I know, man. It's something like this that makes me wish that I got to catch the prelims because I really didn't get to, see much of anything from the prelim card. I just vaguely heard about the comeback, but this is definitely something that would warrant attention, and I wish I brought more of a thought for. But a comeback, because you love a comeback when it's a straight story, just every second from the fight. So. The
crowd in San Antonio was good throughout the prelims. I was kind of on and off.
It's stuff like that deserves the crowd too instead of the apex. So
I think this card kind of struggled a little bit with name value, but the fights themselves, they were well made because they matched up a lot of guys who are fun fighters. And maybe we're not talking about title aspirations for a lot of the people on this card, but to say that this one wasn't one of the more fun ones that we've had lately, it would definitely be wrong, because I think that this one was pretty fun. And one other cool thing that I thought happened on this one was Cowboy Cerrone making the Hall of Fame. I thought it was cool they did that in Texas too. They were right on the broadcast when they said it's appropriate.
Yeah, they are really making these Hall of Fame announcements and then inductees too, most importantly, truly feel meaningful and special this all of a sudden now. So
Cowboy was crying too. I like seeing that with him and his family. That was I love they surprised them with it.
We still got a good amount of names to get in there and get that recognition in that moment.
Randy Couture. I get it, and I'm looking into the camera here for our fans. I get it. Dana White's is not like Randy Couture. But Randy Couture is, I think, still, maybe not anymore because I'm not sure about some of the older champions nowadays. Because I didn't know Glover broke this record. So Randy Couture is now, I think, the second oldest UFC champion of all time. And he's just a pioneer of the sport. I mean, won at light, heavyweight. Come on. Let's put personal shit aside and get, a true pioneer in the Hall of Fame. But,
yeah, man.
Besides,
awesome for Cowboy, man. You love to see it, and you love, he's always been a fan favorite, rightfully so. So, class act guy. He's fought about just about every lightweight you can name, and
anytime, anywhere. That's what Brendan Fitzgerald said.
Does he still hold? If I'm not mistaken, he still holds the record for amount of time in the cage.
That's a good question. I know that record always fluctuates because it's
I think that's
Frankie Edgar's always up there too, and he would fight I remember it would always kind of just be switching throughout the years. But I mean, you were just talking about
most amount of walkouts.
That's probably fair. I think he might have the most fights. That might be the one. But I'm just looking at his resume, and I know some of these are losses, but I'm gonna go back to the beginning and just start listing names as I see them, starting with the WEC days too. I mean, win over the best gambler in MMA history, James Krause. Jamie Varner, Benson Henderson twice. Jamie Varner again. Oh my God, Wagner Hocha. He just got suspended, I think, in IBJJF for steroids. So unfortunate for him. Charles Oliveira beat him. Dennis Seaver, Nate Diaz, Jeremy Stevens, Melvin Gillard, Anthony Pettis, KJ Nunes, RDA, Edson Barboza, Jim Miller twice, Eddie Alvarez, Benson Henderson again in the UFC. Oh my God. Alex Oliveira, Rick Story, Matt Brown, Jorge Masvidal, Robbie Lawler, Darren Till, Leon Edwards, Al Iaquinta, Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje, Conor McGregor, Anthony Pettis. It just keeps going and going.
That's a lot of champions.
Jim Miller, it's incredible, honestly, what he's done in his career, and he definitely deserves the Hall of Fame for all that. Because even if it's win some, lose some, the fact that he has gotten through all that and he still finished his career 36-17. That's not too bad when you're fighting the competition that he's fighting, because he was really in the lion's den at 155.
I'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah, honestly. So hats off to him. I wish I was maybe wearing a cowboy hat instead of a Yankee hat, because I think it's probably the exact opposite of a cowboy hat. It's probably a Yankee hat.
Cowboy, baby.
Hell yeah, man. So I guess the last thing that we could talk about before we go is obviously the channel has had some big moments lately. Got the Ariel Helwani interview up. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. Me and you got to go to my school and meet New York Rick from the MMA Hour. That was cool. I had the chance to talk to him on Zoom like about a month ago, just about like the pod and just advice and stuff like that. Great dude, as is Ariel. And obviously thanks to Ariel for coming on the show, because that was just incredible. Dream come true for me. And very down to earth guy. I noticed, like, it was funny, like, at the end of the interview, too, like, I told him, for me, reminds me of when he was interviewing Rich Eisen. He's just like, yeah, those guys are, like, the real pros. I'm just some schmucky guy covering MMA and sports. I'm like, I mean, I don't think that, but, you know, to each their own. He's very humble.
Super humble.
Yeah, and very helpful, too. Like, cool guy. Cool to exchange emails with, and it's cool to know that we have, like, a nice connection with him. And New York Rick, too, because obviously you got...
MMA Hour cosign.
Hell yeah, dude. And you obviously got to meet New York Rick when we were at the school. That was pretty fun. We had... So me and you were, like, curating tweets. We were in, like, the production crew pretty much. That was cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Then afterwards, after, like, the whole thing, I did, like, a little interview with him. And then we had, the whole pizza thing upstairs in the conference room. And that was pretty cool because we were talking like probably for about like 2 hours just about all things MMA, kickboxing, education. Very layered discussion. I thought it was pretty cool because I think the education part of it, and I think I said this to you, was the most intelligent conversation I've ever been a part of. Listening to college professors and us in New York Rick talking about education and after COVID. So definitely an interesting experience. I enjoyed the hell out of that. But how did you enjoy that whole week, and just what are your takeaways from here?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, absolute. It's so cool to see just the channel keep growing and rising from the ground up that you started it from. And you know, it's stuff like this. It's like Ariel Helwani said it best too at the end of the year, and you just like there's nothing's ever perfect. There's gonna be bumps in the road, and then the most important thing is that you keep pushing, and you just stay true to yourself. So just super cool, man. I've become a super huge fan of what those guys do in their show over this year, just catching just about every single episode so far. And man, it's so wild. It goes to show you just like small world, you got New York Rick coming over, and he's being really just stand up, just everything I thought he already was, and more. So that was super cool. Just felt like you could talk to him about absolutely anything. And man, it was just to talk shop with him about just the sport in general and stuff, and just having just a straight conversation as if we were right here on this show right now with one of them. So man, once again, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, honestly, and especially since the Ariel interview, the support has been just pouring in, and we appreciate that very much. There's definitely been people, and we know who they are, who have been there since the very beginning of this and have seen it keep growing, and we hope to keep going further and further in the sport. And who knows what the capper is for this, but we have pretty high expectations, that's for sure. So we hope we can exceed them. But with that, that's all we have for you guys this week. So we'll see y'all. Thanks again.
See you.